Que faire quand je reçois trop des CV en anglais qui ressemblent à un CV en français et que mon client, l'entreprise anglophone, n'a aucun intérêt? J'ai vu une mission pour moi. Dans les mots d'Einstein, la folie, c'est de répéter la même chose encore et encore et s'atteindre d'un résultat différent. Que faire? Je- Comment se préparer pour votre opportunité professionnelle aux États-Unis? Pour trouver la réponse, je me suis trouvée avec Amy Krymkowski, une collègue et copine depuis longue date. Elle a plus de 25 années d'expérience, autant dans les ressources humaines, des rôles variés, et aussi un coach carrière avec des experts, avec des leaders et les managers dans la transition. Donc voici mon entretien avec Amy Krymkowski in English qui répond à la question que faire pour obtenir votre prochaine opportunité aux États-Unis.
Finding their professional opportunity, be it a job or an internship in the US?
Yes, thank you for the question, and it's a big question because finding a job in the U.S. Um, means that you, first of all, are looking at what kind of work are you looking to do. Are you looking to go and work in a corporate environment for a business or a company that's already established? Are you somebody who has more care and concern for, or have a passion for work that's being done that might be seen as more meaningful work or a cause related work? And that is often done by organizations that consider themselves to be not for profit or nonprofits, as we call it
Mhm.
here in the United States. Are you looking to work in the government? Maybe that might be an opportunity. So, for if you're here in the United States, would your skills be seen as valuable in the U.S. government, and is that even a possibility? I realize there's things like visas and other things that come into play, but the government is a definitely a place, and I mean federal, local, city, state government. The fourth might be coming to the US and finding a way to work for yourself, or in other words, be an entrepreneur, be a small business owner, or join with an already existing small business, a startup company, things like that. Technology, pretty popular here in the United States. So I think discerning the where are you headed is one thing. And secondly, it's do you know anyone that already is in that place, entity, company, organization that you are interested in moving to? Why? Because we all need a resource and we all need somebody who's already inside or already there to support and help us. And that is definitely a thing about the United States. It's always, they say, it's not what you know, it's who you know.
So you really, if I understand you correctly, you're really talking about networking, right?
Absolutely, yes.
So in order to start networking, what would be one thing that would be really important to know when you start networking?
Well,
Would it
that's
be the
kind of a
pitch? Would it be whatever? I mean, just as an
yeah.
example.
I'll say this. There's a lot that is entailed in networking. That's a whole nother animal and a whole nother baby.
Right.
But when I say it's not what you know, it's who you know, what I'm saying is if you're looking to come to the United States and find employment, then it would be useful to begin looking for individuals that you could be connecting to socially, personally, in advance of coming. So, are there groups? Are there organizations? Are there individuals that you could be connecting with? This could be done through social media. This might be done through LinkedIn. This might be looking for professional organizations that are in the field of your interest. This and there's so much to look at there because groups exist everywhere. Facebook, LinkedIn, I don't know if there's groups on Instagram. I don't know that I've ever seen a group on Instagram,
Mhm.
but part of what I'm saying is you have to find your tribe
Okay, that's a nice way of saying it.
first, right?
Okay.
Finding and looking for your tribe. Are you looking to be an entrepreneur? Are you meeting and networking with other entrepreneurs that have businesses or companies or are offering their services already that are based in the United States? So finding your tribe and figuring out how and where they are and starting to make connections one person at a time can be super valuable because people are resources. People provide information in real time. People who are willing to share their ideas or their thoughts are going to cut down the time that it might take you to research that online. They're going to tell you where to find the information, ideally they are, that you might need. And so it is worth your effort to get some help with making connections with real people,
Okay, and
i.e. find your tribe.
find your tribe and make that path, instead of being a long unknown path, into a more shorter, clearer path, which I've often heard that 80% of most of the jobs are found within your tribe, right? That's what I've heard, and then I have to say myself that I've been fortunate in actually finding most of my
Yes.
job opportunities within tribes. So yes, I have to agree
Yeah.
with that.
That's really, for some people, it depends on your stage of your career. If you're in the early stages of your career, maybe you're looking to come to the United States and study, right? That's very common. People come to the US and they become students, right?
Mhm.
And you need to build your tribe. You don't have one, right? And so that starts with everything from your professors, your classmates, if you obtain some on-campus employment, or you leverage resource groups, or um, the Office of Student Health or something.
Mhm.
Finding your tribe if you're coming to the US to study, means who are the people around me that are supportive of my education, my training, and who can help me to be able to make some connections, so that if I'm looking to find an internship or I'm looking to find a part-time job, they can help me get through or figure out the ropes so that I can
Mhm.
be successful. If you're early in your career, so you might have a college degree or you have some experience, but you're um, early in your career, then it's going to be about starting to make connections with people in your profession. Maybe these are people that you already know in your country who might have connections in the United States, right?
That's
So
a good point.
does your manager or your supervisor or your previous, if you went to college or university, a previous professor, do they know anybody that is already working in the US or might know someone in the field that you're in? That's an idea, right? So again, thinking about who you already know can be useful. If you're somebody that's well into your career, your mid-career or your late stage, so you've been working for 15, 20 plus years, you probably have a network of some kind. You have colleagues, you have people that that work in other companies or organizations. And again, starting with who you know, who do they know? Do they have any connections in the United States? Again, just trying to think of how can you leverage the existing relationships that you have, and then begin to ask for what you want, which is, I'm looking to make a change, or I'm looking to pursue opportunities in the United States. Do you know of someone that might already be working there or has worked there who could give me some advice, who might be able to be willing to have a conversation with me.
Okay.
Yeah.
Excellent point. So find your tribe and start with where you are and who you have and take it from there. Is that what I'm understanding?
Yeah, leverage the relationships you already have, or that you may have built, or that maybe you've only talked to someone once or twice, but they would remember you, or they would be open to giving you some of their time, right? Because it's all about getting people's time, getting on their calendar, having a short conversation,
Right.
a coffee meeting, whatever, right? Yeah.
Okay.
So start with what you know and start with who you already know.
Okay. So that's one great tip. Thanks, Amy. What would be a second and final tip once you find your tribe? What is another thing, maybe a tool or something that you need to communicate where you want to go or your specialty?
Well, I said to find your tribe, leverage the relationships that you might already have. So when you say a tool, can you give me more of an idea of what you might be looking for there? Because
Sure,
it depends on, tools are based on what you need them for, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Would it be a resume? Would it be only a LinkedIn profile? Would it be a work portfolio, a cover letter? What one tool that could be used in a variety of networking
Yeah.
situations is essential to communicate and say what you want?
Yeah. I think in the United States, and it's very true because this platform and this social media site is used globally, is LinkedIn. I think LinkedIn is it's your digital brand. It is how people can get a quick idea of who you are, what you offer, what your skills and experience are, and where are you headed? What are you looking to do? I say that because although resumes are needed and are important, most people want to look you up and get an idea of who you are before they meet you. And so I always
Okay.
tell my clients in the United States, you should have a presence on LinkedIn. You want to make sure that your profile on LinkedIn is up to date, that you have a solid profile picture that is professional looking. That's not a selfie where you are hanging out at a party or something like that. You want to have a clear header that gives people an idea of what you do or what your profession is, your skills. So keywords are really important to use. It's good to be able to really develop your LinkedIn profile so that it's complete and that it showcases all of your experience and education. It also might showcase other extracurricular things that you might be engaged in, various groups or activities, things that you belong to or are affiliated with. And so my general comment is, if you're going to focus on having something that can help individuals get to know you quickly and understand your brand, it's LinkedIn. It's online 24/7. As long as somebody has an account on LinkedIn, they can look you up. And quite frankly, if somebody has your name and they search your name in Google, LinkedIn is optimized in such a way that that is going to show up. And so you can immediately create a presence for who you are by using that. I'm not paid for by LinkedIn. I'm not trying to overly plug LinkedIn. It's just because we have become, and we are a digital world. And people use Google more than they go to the library, which is what we used to do, right? Years and years ago. And the fastest way that people can get to know you is by seeing something that represents you. So the last point around that is I can't stress the importance, especially in the US, to have a professional looking photo. I'm not saying you necessarily have to go and have a professional take photos of you, but to be thoughtful of what images of you are you putting on your profile. So,
Okay. All right.
yeah.
So if I were to summarize the two key points would be the first one, network and find your tribe with whom you can connect, and find and have a conversation around what type of job or internship you want to do. And the second point, you talked about having a LinkedIn presence where you have an updated professional photo with keywords that go towards the job or the internship that you want, that the education experience are filled in, as well as extracurricular activities. And really, you talked about really having the keywords, having you identify as the brand that you are, that you would have. Is that what you're saying in general? In
Yes,
short and sum up.
yes, but the other point I made, which is its own point, is to leverage the relationships you already have.
Okay.
Because if you're already living in another country, you're already in relationship with other people. Networking is not just about going out and finding new people to meet. It's actually starting with the people that you already know and starting with those individuals to ask them or to share with them what your goal is, what your interests are, and what advice or connections could they help you make? Is there somebody that they could introduce you to? Is there something that they know about that you could more easily and readily access that could help you in the finding your tribe? So I think it's really important to make sure that that's probably the first thing I should have said is to leverage your network, find your tribe that might exist somewhere in the US or exists where you currently are that could help you make that leap to the US. And then as part of that, the way to get to know people or to help people get to know you is having a solid presence on a site. And I would recommend LinkedIn simply because it's the most used in the US when it comes to professional branding and having professional networks. And it's a lot more, and I know multiple LinkedIn coaches who would say it's more than just finding a job. But finding a job is part of it. So LinkedIn is the platform to use to be seen. Last point though is if you're a creative, and I've heard this from creatives don't necessarily see LinkedIn as their go-to site. They might use Instagram or Facebook or a site where their work, their whatever it is that they want to display, a digital representation of their work is not necessarily, LinkedIn isn't necessarily the best site for them. So if you have a portfolio of some kind, and that was the word I was waiting to remember in my head, if you're an artist or you're a UX designer or you're somebody who's working in a creative way, I think having a LinkedIn presence is important. But if you have a portfolio, a digital portfolio of your work, make sure that's on LinkedIn. Make sure that that's being shown there and being elevated so that people can see that about you and find that as well. So I'll just mention that as well too.
Great. Thank you for your wise words, Amy. To conclude, what would be some words of encouragement you would give to either French or other nationalities or other people coming from outside the US and working there? What would be some encouraging words or advice you'd give them in this process?
Well, generally speaking, I think a lot of the points that I raised I hope are valid in that it's part of the experience. Probably patience, being patient with the process, recognizing that, and I can only say this in the humblest of ways because that's not my experience. I'm already, working and living here in the US. But I can only imagine, I aspire to explore and live in other countries myself as I explore my own life and career. And I think that making any kind of move at a global level requires time and patience, and recognizing that there is a process within that process.
Mm.
So breaking things down one step at a time, acknowledging your wins and successes on a regular basis. So really noting that as you're going through the transition, what worked this week? What could you do differently next week? What is working? What should you stop, start, and continue? So it's about how to make the process itself one that can be more positive, more balanced, so that you stay engaged, that you don't drop off, that you find ways to celebrate the small steps, the wins that you're achieving along the way. Maybe it's, oh, I made a contact in the United States. Woohoo! That person just gave me some great information that I would have otherwise never known about. That's a win. So really noticing and paying attention to what's occurring along the way, celebrating those small wins, being willing to stop doing something that isn't working for you and not judging yourself about that, right? It's about learning, and maybe starting something new or trying something different, and then continuing to do the things that are working for you. So I always love the stop, start, and continue assessment that you can do.
Alors, pour terminer cet entretien avec Amy, quels sont les 2 points à retenir pour trouver votre opportunité professionnelle ou un stage aux États-Unis? La première, c'est vraiment trouver votre tribu, votre groupe avec des personnes que vous pouvez échanger sur les thèmes, les problèmes et les solutions que vous aimez bien résoudre. Ça peut être sur LinkedIn, Facebook ou ailleurs. Le deuxième point, c'est vraiment faites un beau profil bilingue en anglais sur LinkedIn. Pourquoi? LinkedIn, c'est comme des pages, des CV disponibles pour des jobs aux États-Unis, et c'est utilisé beaucoup aux États-Unis. Donc, mettez à jour ce profil. J'espère que cet entretien a été utile pour vous, et je vous souhaite plein de réussite vers votre opportunité professionnelle aux États-Unis. Pour plus d'informations sur les actualités de l'emploi et stage aux États-Unis, vous pouvez contacter Amy. Son lien se trouve juste en bas. Et si vous voulez plus d'informations sur comment réseauter, comment mettre un profil LinkedIn en ligne, que ça soit efficace et que ça brille vos compétences, vous pouvez suivre mon blog ou me contacter pour un rendez-vous gratuit. Le lien se trouve juste en bas. Je vous souhaite plein de réussite et j'espère à bientôt. Bye!